This is Jason Newton. I'm here in Eastford, Connecticut for a short walk into the Yale Forest and the Natchaug State Forest to visit a portion of the Old Connecticut Path. Our route today is an easy walk on old woodland roads, starting on Walker Road and heading north towards the point where we'll meet with the Old Connecticut Path. We'll travel just about a mile on these old roadways that are lined by stone walls and old trees to reach the Bigelow River and the crossing place of the Old Connecticut Path. Just after entering Yale Forest, we come downhill to a small stream that's spanned by an ancient box culvert. Stone bridges, like we see here, are found all along the route of the Old Connecticut Path and were early examples of bridges constructed from simple materials readily available here in the woods. Now, as we turn from our view of the bridge over this small stream, we see one of the most easily accessible beaver dams to be found along the route of the Old Connecticut Path. And we'll take a moment to walk right up the stones lining the brook to see the dam. We can look over the top to see the beaver pond beyond and to zoom in on the beaver lodge located just upstream. The beaver dam and the pond beyond form one of the treats to be found for those who come to experience the woods here in Eastford. Our short walk along Walker Road has led us into the woods here in Yale Forest, and we've come to the point where the road branches to head west once again down to the Bigelow Brook. Before heading downhill to Bigelow Brook, we'll take just a moment to walk of maybe about 100 yards north on the old Walker Road to see the point where the Old Connecticut Path came across, heading east to Woodstock and west towards Hartford. Charles Chism, in his description of the route of the Old Connecticut Path as it traveled through Eastford, noted that the Old Connecticut Path was located right next to what he described as the old Shippey Place, which is the foundation that we pass here along Walker Road. Using Chism's description of the route of the path crossing below the old Shippey Place on Walker Road, we find that the path comes through from the west through a barway here and heads east through this barway on its way down to a narrow strip of land that Chism described the path crossing between two ponds. The way through the woods down to the ponds that Chism described is difficult and requires some bushwacking, which we're not going to do on this shorter and easy walk. But to get a perspective on it, I will show you a picture and give you some idea of what's out there. That from looking at above, we can look down and see the two ponds that are, one is the beaver pond to the south and a small beaver pond to the north. And right between them there's a narrow strip of land over which the Old Connecticut Path crossed. In addition to the Shippey Place just up the road here on Walker Road, Chism also noted that the old schoolhouse where he and his brother David went to school in the 1860s and 1870s is just down Walker Road, and the path ran between the old schoolhouse and the Shippey Place. So we'll return down Walker Road to visit the school and head down to the Bigelow River. After returning down Walker Road, we head west about 50 feet on the road towards the Bigelow River. And on the right, just a short distance off the roadway, is the site of an ancient schoolhouse located here in this part of Eastford. Here we can see the doorstep leading up into the schoolhouse and some of the stones that formed the foundation going around this one-room school. Here at this old schoolhouse site is one of the places that Charles Chism recorded as being near the route of the Old Connecticut Path. Now, he and his brother David would walk a mile or so from Axe Factory Road, which is west of here in Ashford, to the school here daily during the 1860s and 1870s when they were young children. As the population declined here out in this part of Eastford, the school fell out of use, but rather than being left to fall here in the woods, it was disassembled and carried east towards Ashford Road, where it's now been modernized and still stands as a private home. Leaving the schoolhouse behind, we'll continue west again towards the Bigelow River and the Old Connecticut Path crossing place. As we come down the hill, we reach the Bigelow River, and straight ahead of us is the site of the bridge that Charles and David Chism crossed each day on their way to school during the 1860s and 1870s. Charles Chism described traveling down the path to school, and he and his brother would go across the Bigelow River on a series of stone steps located just north of the bridge. Chism described the stones placed on the river as being much like this one above the bridge site, that were approximately 2 to 3 feet wide and weighed probably several tons, that were placed here along the river to form a stepping path across the river for easier travel. While this is the only one that remains on this side, as we look across we can see the shore where the line of stones would have crossed. But these stones were rolled away by the force of the water flooding through here after the hurricane of 1938. We can find another crossing place along the Old Connecticut Path, located on the Mount Hope River, that's remarkably like the crossing that Charles and David Chism reported that they crossed on their way to school. Our short walk of just a mile along old country roads has brought us here to the Bigelow River and the bridge site and the place of crossing of the Old Connecticut Path. Our return trip will retrace our steps along Walker Road to bring us back to Westford Road, where our journey began on this short walk. For more information about our short walk here in Eastford into Yale Forest and Natchaug State Forest to reach the Bigelow Brook and the Old Connecticut Path crossing, please visit the Old Connecticut Path website.